Welcome back to Book Dive. Your daily dose of knowledge on the go.
That's right.
Perfect for those morning commutes.
Definitely.
And today we're diving deep into a classic all about, mastering the art of human connection.
Oh, yeah.
How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie.
A timeless guide indeed.
Okay, so what's so special about this book?
Well, Carnegie, blends historical figures and success stories and a bit of psychology to create practical techniques for improving your relationships.
Okay, so how did he even come up with the idea for this book? I mean, wasn't he already like a successful public speaking coach?
Yeah, he was a public speaking coach.
Right.
And while teaching public speaking, he realized that adults actually needed more training in human relations.
Interesting.
Yeah, public speaking skills are important, but really connecting with people on a personal level is crucial for real success.
That makes total sense.
Yeah.
So he saw a need and then dedicated years to researching for this book.
Exactly. He even interviewed big names like Marconi,
Wow.
Edison, and even Franklin D. Roosevelt
No way.
to really get to the heart of human interaction. He even read over 100 biographies
Wow.
of Theodore Roosevelt alone.
That's crazy.
Talk about dedication.
Yeah, that's commitment for sure.
Right.
But so did his methods actually work in the real world?
Absolutely.
Okay.
The book is filled with stories of people achieving remarkable results using Carnegie's principles.
Like what?
Well, salespeople, saw their numbers soar.
Yeah.
Individuals improved their personal relationships. And some even landed promotions at work.
Okay, you've got my attention.
Yeah.
Any particularly skeptical converts?
Well, there's this great anecdote about a wealthy carpet factory owner.
Okay.
And this guy was a Harvard graduate, mind you.
Right.
And he claimed that he learned more about influencing people in 14 weeks of Carnegie's training
Really?
than in 4 years at Harvard.
Now that's an endorsement.
Right.
If a Harvard grad is saying that, there must be something to these principles.
Yeah, for sure.
So let's get into it. What are some of the core ideas that make this book so impactful?
Well, one of the most fundamental principles is to avoid criticizing others.
Okay.
Carnegie argues that criticism really rarely leads to positive change.
So don't criticize.
Yeah.
Got it.
And he uses the example of Two-Gun Crowley.
Two-Gun Crowley.
Yeah.
Who is that?
He was a notorious criminal.
A criminal?
Yeah, to illustrate this point.
Okay, how does a criminal illustrate not criticizing?
Well, you see, even Crowley, upon being captured, wrote a letter claiming to have a weary heart, but a kind one.
Okay.
One that would do nobody any harm.
So a gangster claiming to have a kind heart.
Well, it is a little ironic.
It is.
But it highlights a key insight. Even hardened criminals, they rarely see themselves as the villain.
Right.
They justify their actions just like everyone else.
Yeah. So even when people are clearly in the wrong, they often have a reason, in their minds at least, for acting that way.
Exactly. Carnegie argues that most people don't criticize themselves for anything, no matter how wrong they might be.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so if criticizing is a no-go, what's the alternative? How do we address situations where someone's behavior needs to change?
Well, instead of criticism,
Yeah.
Carnegie suggests focusing on giving honest and sincere appreciation.
Okay, appreciation.
Yeah, there's a story in the book about a boy who refused to eat properly.
Oh yeah, picky eaters, I know them.
Every parent's nightmare.
Oh.
His parents tried everything.
Like what?
Scolding, pleading, nothing worked.
Yep, been there.
But then his parents had a brilliant idea.
What was it?
They focused on making him feel important by letting him buy his own bed and pajamas.
They gave him a sense of ownership.
Exactly, and it worked wonders.
Wow.
The boy felt like a little man,
Yeah.
and he started behaving accordingly.
That's really cool how a little appreciation can transform behavior.
It is.
You know what else is cool?
What's that?
This podcast, Book Dive.
Oh, yeah.
So make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to catch all of our insightful episodes.
That's right.
Okay, now back to Carnegie.
Yes.
Another powerful principle that he highlights is the importance of arousing an eager want in the other person.
That's right.
An eager want.
Yeah.
What does that even mean?
Well, it's about understanding what the other person truly desires
Okay.
and then showing them how to achieve it.
Okay.
Carnegie tells this funny story about Ralph Waldo Emerson trying to get a calf into a barn.
A calf into a barn. Okay, this is going to be good.
Right. Emerson and his son,
Yeah.
they pushed and pulled, but that stubborn calf wouldn't budge.
A stubborn calf. What a surprise.
They were so focused on what they wanted
Yeah.
that they completely ignored the calf's perspective.
Right, we can be so single-minded sometimes.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Well, then their Irish housemaid comes along,
Okay.
and she figures out what the calf wants.
Oh, so she bribed it with some, like, delicious hay.
Even better, she let the calf suck on her finger as she gently led it into the barn.
Really?
Yeah.
So the housemaid understood that what the calf really wanted was, like, comfort and security.
Exactly.
That's really smart.
Right.
Sometimes the simplest solutions are the most effective.
They really are.
It seems like a lot of Carnegie's techniques involve putting yourself in the other person's shoes.
You know, that's a crucial insight.
Yeah.
And this empathy extends to another key principle,
Which is?
becoming a good listener.
Oh, the art of listening.
Yes.
Something we can all improve on.
For sure.
You think you're a good listener, but are you really?
That is the question.
It is.
Carnegie shares a story about a botanist who found him to be a great conversationalist.
Okay.
But the catch is,
What?
Carnegie barely said a word.
Really?
He just listened attentively
Wow.
as the botanist, talked about his passion.
So the secret to being a great conversationalist is actually being a great listener.
Exactly.
Mind blown.
It sounds counterintuitive,
It does.
but when you genuinely listen to someone, you make them feel heard and valued.
Mm-hmm.
And that's incredibly powerful.
You're telling me I'm already feeling more insightful and we're just scratching the surface of this book.
Oh, this is just the beginning.
Oh, no.
We'll be back with part 2, where we'll uncover even more of Carnegie's secrets to winning friends and influencing people.
Can't wait.
Me too.
Welcome back to Book Dive.
Yeah.
We're continuing our deep dive into Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Yes, unpacking those timeless strategies for better relationships.
Right. And we left off talking about the power of being a good listener.
We did.
But let's face it, disagreements are bound to happen,
They are.
even with the best listening skills.
Oh, yeah.
So how do we navigate those tricky situations?
Mhm.
Does Carnegie suggest we just avoid conflict altogether?
He actually dedicates a whole chapter to the art of avoiding arguments.
Really?
Yeah, he argues that, it's often the most effective way to actually achieve your goals.
Avoiding arguments.
Mm.
Is that even possible? I feel like some people just love to debate.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Right.
But Carnegie shares a compelling story about Patrick J. O'Hare.
Who's that?
He was a salesman who went from, failing miserably
Oh, no.
to becoming, a top performer.
Really?
Just by learning to agree with his customers.
Wait, so he just agreed with them?
Yeah.
Even if they were wrong?
Yeah, instead of arguing, he would
Yeah.
acknowledge their perspective. He'd
Uh-huh.
say things like, that's a good point, or
Right.
I understand why you feel that way.
So he basically disarmed them with kindness
Exactly.
and understanding.
And the results were remarkable.
Yeah.
By avoiding arguments, he built trust and rapport with customers,
Okay.
which ultimately led to more sales.
Wow. So that makes sense in a sales context, I guess?
Right?
But what about those times when you're absolutely certain you're right?
Yeah.
Is it always wrong to stand your ground?
Well, Carnegie doesn't say you should never disagree, but he really emphasizes doing so with tact and empathy.
Right.
He uses the example of Benjamin Franklin.
Benjamin Franklin.
Yes.
The founding father.
Yeah.
He was a pretty smart guy.
He was very sharp.
So what was his secret?
Well, Franklin, he made a conscious effort to avoid using those absolute terms, like certainly or undoubtedly.
Okay.
Instead, he opted for softer phrases like,
No good.
I conceive, or it appears to me.
So he presented his opinions as just that, opinions.
Exactly.
Rather than trying to force them on others as the absolute truth.
Precisely. And that subtle shift in language,
Yeah.
it made a huge difference.
Really?
It allowed him to engage in discussions without putting people on the defensive.
That's really smart.
Right.
Okay, now that we've learned about the importance of avoiding criticism
Yeah.
and, skillful disagreement,
Yes.
let's move on to another fascinating principle. Seeing things from the other person's perspective.
The cornerstone of empathy.
It is.
Carnegie argues that understanding someone's viewpoint is essential for building those strong relationships.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
But how do we actually put this into practice?
Right.
It's easy to say, walk a mile in their shoes.
Mm-hmm.
But actually doing it is a different story.
It is.
What do we do?
Carnegie provides a great example from his own life.
Okay.
He used to get incredibly frustrated with boys building illegal fires in a park.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Like building fires in the woods.
Yeah.
That was my favorite pastime as a kid.
It's a natural thing for kids to do.
It is.
But instead of, scolding them
Yeah.
or calling the police, Carnegie,
Yeah.
learn to connect with them on their level.
Did he, like, join in and roast marshmallows with them?
He did even better. He'd approach them in a friendly way.
Okay.
Ask them about their plans for supper.
Wow.
And reminisce about his own childhood fire-building adventures.
So he, like, built rapport.
Exactly.
Before addressing the issue.
Yes. By acknowledging their enjoyment and finding common ground, he could gently guide them towards more responsible behavior.
Right. Much better than, like, just laying down the law.
Exactly.
It shows respect and understanding.
Precisely. And this leads us to another crucial principle.
Which is?
Making the other person feel important.
Ooh, I love this one.
Yeah.
Who doesn't want to feel important?
It's a fundamental human need.
It is.
And Carnegie argues that fulfilling this need is key to winning friends and influencing people.
That makes sense. But how do you make someone feel important without resorting to insincere flattery?
Well, Carnegie suggests a variety of techniques.
Okay.
But one that stands out is remembering and using people's names.
Oh, man. I am terrible with names.
It's a common struggle.
It is. I'll meet someone new and like 5 minutes later, their name has vanished from my brain.
But even small efforts to remember names can have a big impact.
They can.
Oh, yeah. Carnegie tells this incredible story about Franklin D. Roosevelt.
FDR.
Yes.
He was president during World War II.
He was.
I can't even imagine the kind of pressure he was under.
Right amidst all that chaos, he made a point of remembering the names of even the mechanics who worked on his car.
Really?
Yeah.
That's impressive.
It shows genuine interest in people.
It does.
And that makes them feel valued and respected.
It does.
Now, there's one principle that we haven't really explored.
Which is?
Give the other person a fine reputation to live up to.
Ooh, that sounds intriguing.
It is. I'm all ears. Carnegie believed that people, they often strive to meet the expectations we set for them.
Okay.
He shares this very moving story about an office boy who achieved incredible things.
Wow.
Because the famous people that he wrote to responded with encouragement and treated him with respect.
So by believing in him, they actually inspired him to reach his full potential.
That's the idea.
Wow.
And he also tells a story about Marie.
Who's Marie?
A kitchen maid who was told she had a beautiful soul.
Okay.
And that simple statement transformed her life.
Really?
She started taking better care of herself.
Wow.
And she blossomed as a person.
That's so powerful. It is. These stories really highlight how our words and actions can have such a profound impact on others.
Absolutely. It underscores the importance of being mindful of the way we treat people.
Right?
Because it can literally shape their lives.
Before we move on, I want to remind our listeners to share their thoughts and experiences with us in the comments.
Yes.
We love hearing from you.
We do.
And if you want to dive even deeper into these principles, you can find an affiliate link to purchase the book in the episode description.
That's right.
Okay, now speaking of shaping lives, another important principle is the art of dramatizing your ideas.
Yes.
Dramatizing your ideas.
Yeah.
Sounds a bit theatrical.
It does.
I'm all for a good story.
Yeah.
But how does this apply to everyday life? We're back with the final part of our deep dive into how to win friends and influence people. And I'm excited to learn more about this whole dramatizing your ideas principle.
Well, Carnegie believes that simply presenting facts and figures isn't always enough to make a lasting impact. Sometimes you need to add a little flair to really capture someone's attention.
Okay, so give me an example.
Okay, so he tells a story about a salesman who was trying to make a point about competition. So instead of just talking about it, he dumped 32 jars of cold cream on his client's desk.
32 jars of cold cream. That's a bold move.
It is.
I bet that got his client's attention.
It certainly did. It created a powerful visual representation of the sheer number of competitors the client was up against.
That's really smart.
It is.
It's one thing to hear about competition, but it's another to see it piled up right in front of you.
Exactly. This story really illustrates the power of dramatization.
Yeah.
Instead of just telling your client about the competition, show them the sheer scale of it.
Right. Make it tangible.
Exactly. And this technique isn't limited to sales either.
Oh, really?
Carnegie talks about a time when, instead of just presenting data, he brought in the head of a company's research lab to actually demonstrate how their product was superior.
So it's about bringing the facts to life, making them memorable and tangible. I love that.
Exactly. It's about making an impact. Now, all of these principles are about understanding and connecting with people on a deeper level.
Yeah.
And Carnegie kind of summarizes this beautifully in his last principle.
Which is?
Appeal to the nobler motives.
Appeal to the nobler motives. That sounds profound.
Tell me more.
Well, Carnegie believed that most people are driven by a desire to do good,
Yeah.
to be seen as honorable and decent.
Hmm.
And when you appeal to these higher motives, you tap into a powerful source of motivation.
So instead of focusing on self-interest, we should focus on shared values
Yes.
and a sense of purpose.
Exactly. It's about framing your requests and arguments in a way that aligns with people's desire to be their best selves.
That's a really powerful idea. It reminds me of that quote, people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel.
Exactly. You've hit the nail on the head.
Yeah.
It's not just about the words we use.
Right. It's about the genuine connection that we create.
I feel like we've only scratched the surface of this incredible book,
We have.
but we've covered so much valuable ground today.
We have, from the importance of avoiding criticism
Yeah.
to the power of dramatizing your ideas.
Mm-hmm.
Carnegie offers a wealth of timeless wisdom
He does.
for building better relationships and achieving success in life.
Well, this deep dive has been truly insightful.
It has.
Thank you for joining us today.
Of course.
And don't forget to check out the affiliate link in the description if you want to pick up a copy of the book.
Yeah.
We'd love to hear your thoughts and experiences in the comments below.
We would.
And remember, the journey to mastering human relations is ongoing. So keep learning, keep practicing, and keep those connections strong.
That's right.